Getting faster in any racing game is hard. However, with the right mindset and approach, you'll be able to beat your rivals and win races, so let's get started. The first thing you need to keep in mind when learning how to get faster has to do with the basics. If you don't know how to properly take a corner, brake, accelerate, or overtake another car, then you'll struggle when you start to push yourself to higher levels. Think of it like building a house. You start with the foundations, then you put up the walls, and later on, you add everything else. So what are the foundations then? To begin, look at the tracks themselves and see how each of them are laid out. Drive them in time trial and try to gain an understanding of which corners are the most important, which ones link together, where the dangerous spots are, and so on. Eventually, you'll build a bit of a database in your head, so that when you come back to a track, you don't need to figure it all out again. Next comes the car itself, and how you drive it. When you start out, you might be driving with all of the assists turned on, and that's okay. While the assists will keep you on the road, they tend to do this by slowing you down, and turning a few of them off can help you go faster. It can be scary to drive without an assist for the first few days, but over time, you'll begin to feel more of what the car likes to do and adjust the way you drive to suit it. Eventually, something will click and you'll go faster than before. One thing you might want to do here is to write down a list of the things you feel you struggle at, and use it as a checklist of things to master. Try improving on those things one at a time, and once you feel you've mastered the technique, mark it off and move on to the next one. To improve, however, we need to practice with purpose, so let's get to that right now. While simply driving around the track will slowly make you better, practicing with a goal in mind is often a faster way to improve. If you have a way of measuring your progress, it's much easier to see the improvements than by simply doing more races and hoping for the best. One way that I like to do this is to find a track that I feel comfortable at, that I consider my testing ground. Then, at the end of each day, I drive around there for a while, trying to do a particular thing, like improving my braking, turning in earlier, or being braver through the faster turns. I'll crash and spin a lot, and that's okay, because I'm understanding why I fail when I do it. Eventually, I'll stop making those mistakes and find the right way to take a corner. You can do this too, and a good track for this is Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya in Spain. Run a few laps without any goal in mind and write down your best time. Next, pick a skill from your checklist and head out there again. Now, while you drive, have a think about that particular skill and focus specifically on that part of a corner. When you practice in this way, you're paying more attention to the skill you're learning, seeing what works and what doesn't, and building up that knowledge. Eventually, you'll find something that works very well. Keep repeating it until you don't have to think about it anymore. You simply do it every time automatically. Of course, getting better at a game shouldn't be seen as work or a chore. It's a video game after all. Spending time to develop a skill is fun, but don't sit there grinding away for hours and hours, or you'll no longer want to do it after a while. Like I said, adding a little training session to your gaming routine can help a lot, and if you focus on being only 1% better every day, those gains will add up quickly. For me, when I work from home, I like to drive a bit during my lunch break. It's a nice little session to stay warmed up, and over time I found that I was getting faster and faster, which is good. Sometimes though, you do need a bit of outside help, so let's get to that next. Before that though, hit the like button if I've helped you out so far, and let me know how well you're doing out on track. Once you've understood the fundamentals and started racing for a while, you'll be able to pick up all sorts of hidden tricks from other drivers. What do I mean by that? Well, by watching esports drivers compete, you'll be able to analyse their approach to corners in a different way to simply enjoying the show. Let's say you're struggling with a particular turn, and no matter how hard you try, you can't do it as fast as you like. So, you try watching an esports stream, and you see that those guys brake at the 50 meter board while you brake at the 100. That's something that you can write down and try out in your next race, and eventually you might be able to do it too. You can also pick up similar tips from watching F1 in real life, or even other forms of racing. Most of the skills from real life racing apply to games too, and we can use these to go faster. The more you play racing games and understand how cars navigate corners, the more you'll pick up on things like this. You'll eventually go from thinking, how can this guy be so good, to this guy is so good because he is doing this thing, and that thing is something that you can practice. Being curious about racing is the best way to get better in my opinion, and it's quite fun too. One more thing you need to consider when learning how to get faster is that improvement takes time. Some people will pick up on things quite quickly, and others will take months or even years to figure some of those things out. All of this is fine, and you shouldn't feel bad about not getting the hang of something right away. Also, you shouldn't be afraid to fail. If you're trying your best and putting in the effort to learn a new skill, you're going to mess up sometimes. It can be frustrating, but I've found that asking, what did I do wrong here, often helps, and looking back at a replay usually gives me clues on the things I can change. Racing games are hard, and in my opinion that's why they're fun. So long as you're having fun, keep on racing and the pace will come. For some quick tips on where to start, check out my guide on which assist to turn off first, and I wish you the best of luck in your next race.